applying the pressure with this shot-by-shot breakdown. Why? Because this is not a particularly well-known group of comic book characters. I mean, of course, we all know who Black Panther is. I know who Shuri is, right? I know who the Dora Milaje are. But Black Panther comics have always been, I'm sorry, somewhat niche. They're not particularly well known. You know, it's a little bit like Iron Man back in the day, before Kevin Feige dusted him off and said, I'm going to make you a star. But even more so, because they're very respectful to African culture, you know, it's like having to learn not only a mythology, but a whole different culture at the same time. So I've got my cheat sheet here while we go through this. But if I'm under a lot of pressure for a shot-by-shot review, imagine how much pressure Ryan Coogler is under to explain all of this to you and establish it in a single movie, right? Like, oh my God. Good luck, everybody. You're going to need it. But let's start. Now we see, I love those boots, by the way. I actually, for Christmas, got a pair of Wellington rain boots that look very similar to it, and I absolutely adore them. So when I saw these, I was like, fantastic. They look amazing. Whoever is trapped here is trapped as dressed to the nines. And I almost thought that it was T'Challa for a moment, because he's always extraordinarily well dressed. But instead, it's Andy Serkis, missing an arm. The gift from Ultron, right? Something to remember him by. And just imagine that Marvel has to pay to take that arm out of every shot. Amazing! Although these days, apparently, they pay to, like, de-age actors in every shot for a movie. There's an interest. I'll try and find the article for you, and I'll put it down below in the video description. And some actors are like, no, I'm not going to do it. But then when they find out their co-stars did it, they're like, okay, you can do it to me too. So it's fascinating. So I guess in the grand scheme of things, lopping off Andy Serkis's arm is an easy job. It's a hatchet job. All right, I'm here all night doing this shot by shot. So I love having these two in the same room together. Everybody, it's like the best British character actors ever. Although, as you guys pointed out, they've been in a room before, only when you've seen it, Andy Serkis was a CGI Gollum, right? Absolutely fabulous. And also, Martin Freeman's like, I'm just going to be Watson, basically. I'm going to be Watson for Marvel. And I'm okay with that, and I think you probably are too. So they're having a very civil conversation, and I like that he's asking him, what do you know about Wakanda? Andy Serkis is a great actor. He's like, you couldn't see my face. I'm so happy. So look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Wow. It's funny that over this they're saying third world country, which I think, you know, of course, the narrative here is that that's a lie. But I think it points out about some of the cruel irony that there are many countries that have this kind of natural beauty, but truly are third world countries. And, you know, no one's coming to their rescue to some degree. That's a whole other conversation. But, you know, again, this movie has so much on its plate and so much it has to be careful and respectful of. Now he's like, oh, yeah, I love that he's like, now here's the thing. The beauty of this conversation is that I don't know what Martin Freeman knows. I don't know if he's aware of what Andy Serkis, he's already aware of what Andy Serkis is telling him about it being a front, or if I suspect that he doesn't know it, and that's why T'Challa and his lead, Dora Milaje, played by Danai Gurira, are like kind of annoyed. They're like, don't tell him, he's never going to leave. But I guess they didn't think that Andy Serkis was just going to go nuclear in there. Although it's going to apparently go a lot worse, as you're going to see. So he's saying, oh, no, that's all just a front. I love it. That's great. I'm so happy. Let's just take a moment to say how nice it is for Andy Serkis. Truly one of the finest actors working today to finally appear on screen. Not to belittle his motion capture work, but wow, he just never gets any credit for that work. So I really hope that he's able to, he's given a lot to do here, and it looks like so far he is. Also, make no mistake, this is a largely black cast, and it's a very interesting choice, and it's a business choice. They opened it with two white actors. I think that's and two recognizable white actors. I think that's it's a business strategic move on the part of Kevin Feige. See there? See, like, for that moment, I was like, does he know? Or is he just like, oh, I'm upset that Andy Serkis knows? So very well played. Good poker face Martin Freeman has on his character, Everett K. Ross. Now look at that. Isn't that great? So he's getting off his plane here, which you're going to see. And I love that back tattoo. And so he's with his people. And over this, there's Forrest Whitaker. Forrest Whitaker's like, you thought my Rogue One getup was crazy. Wait till you see me in this. Wait till they get a load of me in this movie. He's even wearing purple, like Jack Nicholson. But anyway, we'll talk about that back tattoo in just a moment. But Andy Serkis is saying, everybody thought that El Dorado was in South America, but it was in Africa, which I think is a great idea. So I saw some people say cultural appropriation, and I'm like, I don't think so. I think it makes sense to say, hey, you got the wrong continent. I mean, no one's found El Dorado. Why wouldn't it make sense? They were looking literally the wrong part of the globe. But you can see El Dorado, of course, was famous for being the city of gold. And when you pause it here, I was distracted by everyone's beautiful, colorful wardrobe, tribal wear here. And you can see a couple Dora Milaje mixed into the group as well. But there's gold. There's gold in them thar hills. I think that's, pretty neat. And these people don't even care. That's how wealthy a nation they are, or how above material things that they are. They're a very advanced society. They're like, we use gold for conducting electricity through our inventions. So anyway, he has this, kind of like Panther tattoo there. That's quite the commitment, I must say. No wonder he doesn't want Erik Killmonger to take away the Black Panther mantle. He's like, did you see what I've inked on my back? I'm not giving up the Black Panther costume. So it's dropped him off. I wonder who's driving. And it leaves him there. And then, just like Steve Rogers, in another beautiful hot tub. And he's got, I believe this is probably going to be part of the story that we've seen so many times before with superheroes or heroes in general. They're like, you have to go back to basics. You have to understand where you came from. So I think that's, my guess is that's what he's doing here. Going back to what Wakanda is about. Not all the glitter and glamour. And so Andy Serkis has said, I'm the only one who's ever seen it alive. Unlike these poor chumps. Now, someone said this was such a Batman misdirect. I've never seen Batman use a dog. I mean, Damian has a number of pets these days, but Batman doesn't use dogs. He's got a whole utility belt. He's like, I can fit a lot in here, but not a freaking dog. I like this because they have a really funny smash cut here in just a second. So it's dogs barking, and they look up, and there's a cat. It's hilarious. And of course, the cat's in the tree. A dog to a cat. Oh, I love it so much. I think it's hilarious. I really enjoy dog-cat humor, especially because my sister is a dog person and I am a cat person, largely because cats remind me of my sister. And I just think cats are absolutely fascinating. So I'm like, I always enjoy the cat dog banter, so to speak, between fans of each. So I just love it. And he has such a cat attitude up there, right? Like, took you long enough to find me, I'm going to beat the crap out of you, or scratch the crap out of you in this case. I just think it's fantastic. And he really, boy, I have to say, as a superhero costume, it's fantastic because it really blends into the darkness. But for a moviegoer, I can't really see him either. It's a good thing he has all those reflective surfaces. He's like, these aren't for you, criminals that I'm fighting. And he does a Frank Underwood, I'm just watching House of Cards, and turns to the audience and goes, they're for you, so you can see me. So, I love the way he smacks that guy. And so look at that. At first, I thought he was being hit by the bullets and go backwards, but he's actually doing an amazing backflip and kicking that guy with his toes, which are, armored in their claws. Batman's not bulletproof, so I'm not seeing, it's a little Batman-y, I guess, but I don't see it. And I'm a big Batman fan, so if someone was ripping off Batman, I would not only be aware of it, but upset about it. But I love how bossy he is, where he's like, shoot at me, it doesn't even hurt me. It doesn't even the bullets hitting me aren't even a problem. That's pretty awesome. And so he makes short work of those guys, and he's laughing. That's great. He's like, I see you in there. Love it. I love this reveal. And I think it's interesting that, here's the thing. A big part of being a leader is letting other people do your dirty work for you, right? You're like, I'm not even going to get my hands dirty. I'm so far removed from this situation, it's crazy. And that's exactly what they're doing here. They said it Everett K. Ross, although here it backfired because Andy Serkis told them all about what's going on in Wakanda, and they're like, oh, that didn't work out. But I just think it's funny that that's how they decided to play it. It's very true to form for the kind of characters these are. So there's our king, T'Challa, wearing a hoodie, an awesome hoodie. That's such a nice hoodie. That's really nice. You see the way the neck goes into the cowl and it just all becomes one piece? That's some sportswear craftsmanship. And as a fan of sportswear, I recognize it. And I also like that he's able to dress down occasionally, right? But still look very, very cool. And then there is Danai Gurira from The Walking Dead is the head of his Dora Milaje. And I don't really love this hairline that she's tattooed onto herself, but I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt. And she also has an unfortunate lip line going on. I was like, you got too many lines. I appreciate the harsh look that you want, but I think, I don't know, you're so tough. I think you go for a softer look cosmetically. But, it's her choice. So anyway, they're both giving the old stink eye. I like how it goes to a silver Marvel Studios, by the way. It's, it's like really the style of Wakanda. They're like, we don't want that red garbage in here. And there's the city. And so there's Wakanda. And I have to tell you, if you've been reading any of the comics lately, I'm not a fan, I'm sorry, of the current Black Panther comic. I try to read it. I don't like it particularly. But I have been reading Ms. Marvel. I love Ms. Marvel. And Bruno, the Sam Malone, to borrow a page from Peter Quill's book, the Sam Malone to her Diane, is now studying in Wakanda. So they've had some scenes there with his classmates, and it looked just like this. So they must have given this artwork to the artists working on the comics right now, and they did a very good job approximating it, because this looks familiar to me, and that's amazing, because I've never seen it before. So that's great. Wow, I'd like an apartment right in that building, please. That would be wonderful. All right. So there, he's going back to his roots. Now, speaking of going back to your roots, this is a cheap ploy to appeal to the people of Wakanda and being like, I might be a criminal, but I'm of the people. Like this, I guess this is Robin Hood situation, right? Because that's not a particularly good mask. And you're going to see it's ripped off him really soon. And he's wearing very obvious clothes. Allow me to identify him shortly. That's basically Michael B. Jordan, a.k.a. Erik Killmonger. But this is all about symbolism, what he's doing. And that makes him a very dangerous villain, as you're going to see in this movie. So they're breaking out Andy Serkis. That's great. As you can see, no arm there. And then he comes in. Some of you have said I agree. The idea of advanced machinery paired with tribal, some tribal aspects is Wakanda in a nutshell. So I like that. And again, make no mistake, that's exactly the point that Erik Killmonger is trying to make. He's not only fighting T'Challa, aka Black Panther, but he's fighting for the hearts of the people of Wakanda. And I also like the graffiti on there as well. I think that's excellent. They're checking all the boxes here. Now here, I said before that I felt that this Black Panther movie would try to be a little James Bond-like, especially because it has a level of glamour that none of the other Marvel movies have been able to achieve. Maybe Tony Stark, obviously, but Tony Stark, he doesn't have the slickness. He's an American, right? Which I love that about him, boy. But he's not going to have the elegance of T'Challa. So here they are, and his bodyguards are working overtime, dressed in their night clothes. And there's Lupita Nyong'o. You're only seeing her as a Dora Milaje here. She's supposed to end up, I don't know if it'll be in this movie or a future one, but in the comics, she ends up being a villain. So we'll see what happens here. I have to say, I've heard some things about her fighting in this movie that are supposed to be really impressive, but she doesn't look like a fighter to me. So she's going to have to prove that to me in either a trailer or the movie itself. But right now, she seems more love interest than fighter, right? I mean, that's my take on it. She just seems a little bit too soft. But I guess I just criticized, Danai Gurira for being too much of an edge. So I guess I'm looking for a happy medium. And you know who has it? Florence Kasumba, who you're going to see momentarily. She looks perfect. She has the smallest part. I think that's her. I'm not sure. This is some sloppy fight choreography, boy. That's really bad fight choreography. I would have gotten a body double in here. But that's a beautiful dress. We've seen her outside in a scene like this. That's actually somebody else flying off of the balcony. I wonder if it's T'Challa. Boy, the Dora Milaje would be awfully upset if they allowed that to happen. But Casino Night is not going well. Now, that's a very un-Black Panther type move. I'm like, what could possibly be happening in this scene that he would just kind of do like a Kanye there? But I like that I guess maybe he's like proving that he's still okay after being challenged. You can see there's some of his enemies there. I think that's Killmonger right there. And then there are the Dora Milaje. I don't know why they're all standing against T'Challa, but we'll see what happens. Now here's Andy Serkis robbing some kind of a museum. I think that's in the UK then. That's interesting. We'll have a scene in the UK. I guess maybe that's how Everett K. Ross gets involved. Love it. Good idea. Suddenly I like this scene. Okay. I wonder, how is he I guess maybe he's going to have his claw here because there's something up that sleeve and we know that that's not an arm. Okay. So I guess so there he is at the UN. And I was like, what's he talking about? Climate change. I guess that's a real world problem. Like, talk about, evil and villainy and threats in the world, but it's not particularly exciting for a comic book movie. So he's addressing the UN. That seems very small. That seems like budget UN. I'm not happy about that at all. I mean, that's like, come on. I mean, this is a Marvel movie. We're well into the MCU at this point. You can afford an appropriate sized United Nations. The real United Nations is like 10 times that size. So I don't appreciate that at all. Okay. But he looks cool. Although it looks like he borrowed his mom's scarf. Sorry, I couldn't help myself. Where's his stylist? Where's his stylist? Also, where's Erik Killmonger's stylist with the, that crazy hairstyle? I don't know. That's like, it looks like trying a little bit too hard. But that might be Erik Killmonger as well. So anyway, he's obviously been apprehended. Although, is that his plan? We'll see, because you're going to see in a moment he's in a surprising room for someone who's just been arrested. And there's Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out. Oh, that's awesome. I think this is going to be one of those movies where you're like, oh yeah, I love that actor. And, oh, hey, look, he got in the movie, or she's in the movie. I think that'll, because, again, as we've discussed, everybody needs to be in Black Panther. It's that important a movie. It's like if everybody thought Wonder Woman was going to turn out. It's what I've said will happen for Wonder Woman 2. Every actress in Hollywood will be like, I must be in Wonder Woman 2. I don't care how small my role is. I have to represent. Jessica Chastain, as I predicted, is already campaigning way too hard. All right. Jessica Chastain. So I love this. That's such a Godfather type move. Like, talk about channeling Al Pacino, right? He's like, I know what I do for a living is dangerous, but it's all for family, right? But he's a good guy. And although Michael Corleone thought he was a good guy too to some degree. That's Florence Kasumba there, right there on the right. I hope she has an okay role. She looks so great. I think she's the best Dora Milaje. And there, I don't know why Lupita Nyong'o is up here instead of in costume. Maybe this is toward the end of the movie, but she's always in the comics. She also wants to be a love interest for T'Challa. So maybe at the end of the movie or some point in the movie, she succeeds in that way, and then something bad happens and she decides to go the route of villainy. So here we go. That's a great coat. So here you can see they're trying to represent real, African tribal dress. I think that's a mixed bag. I would be very careful about this because I have to say not a lot of people are always respectful of the different tribes of the world and what they do. So I don't think that we want to see anybody doing jokes or snickering even at the trailer or even in the movie. So I think that you have to walk a very fine line here. So I hope that at the very least they do like a piece saying real world African tribes represented in Black Panther to get that out there so you can, cut that off before it becomes, a problem. That's what I would do. If I was like, okay, Ryan Coogler, I think it's a great idea to represent this in the movie, but we have to get out in front of it and make sure everybody's cool with it. So I think, that's my thoughts on that. They're the Dora Milaje. They're so great. As I said, they're the Amazons, basically, of the MCU. This is a crazy angle. Whoa. So this is the throne room. We've seen the poster. This is basically, you see where those windows are? That's where the poster is shot from. They turned the throne around. The room looks very different, by the way, than it does in the poster, right? I'm like, wow, how did you get that angle? But anyway, I like some of the imagery there. You can see a tree, roots from a tree there. That looks very nice. The Dora Milaje obviously are guarding. And there's Killmonger, who's been brought into this room with all these leaders. I wouldn't bring him in there. I think that's probably exactly what he wants. He's supposed to be friends with, he's a childhood friend of T'Challa. So I guess T'Challa's like, I can help him. That never works. Go rent some movies, T'Challa. You're too sheltered. Oh, by the way, I wanted to point out there's the Black Panther statue in the throne room. Okay. Also, as I've said, that I did the poster review, a lot of Asgardian influences I feel here. So I wouldn't be surprised, as I said before, if there isn't some kind of friendly nation status between the two of them, as there should be. So I think clearly here, these people are on the run. This is T'Challa with his family. We'll see a better shot of them in just a moment. I think they're like, Erik Killmonger. You can kind of tell these things, right? So Erik Killmonger basically has, we're on the outs. We have to regroup and go back to, we have to go to ground where we're going to learn about the roots of Wakanda because we're at the ground. All right. So there they are. That's Angela Bassett as his mother, and as many people pointed out, looking very Storm-like. And that is Letitia Wright, who plays Shuri, his sister, who in the comics eventually takes over the Black Panther mantle, at least for a little while. And there's Martin Freeman being like, boy, this is tough. He's like, my turn to represent as well. Now you can see, we'll get back to these people in a moment. These are the, Winston Duke is playing M'Baku, aka Man-Ape. These are his disciples. So I guess, he's basically Bane, when Bane's a henchman, thinking like Batman Forever for Erik Killmonger. He's probably like, team up with me, Winston Dukes, M'Baku. I will let you rule beside me. Again, watch some movies, M'Baku. That promise never gets carried through. Okay. Now this is interesting. So I think this is like, okay, let's fight for it. Let's do it like by tribal rules or something. That would be my guess here, right? Because, we saw that, or maybe that's why he was being dropped off, to have this fight. Maybe they decide to have like a fair fight. I mean, Erik Killmonger's not going to have a fair fight, but maybe that's what this is actually. This is how it's supposed to be decided for who should be the Black Panther. But I'm not quite sure if it's the water or not, but I think there's some kind of tattoos or marks on Erik Killmonger's torso, and maybe they'll when they do a little bit more work with the visual effects, they'll be able to maybe make them glow or do something. Because remember, Killmonger in the comics has some magic abilities as well. That's how you can cheat. He doesn't have a trick up his sleeve. He has a trick inside of him. Okay. And there he is. He's also got some knives up his back. When all else fails, pull out some big ass knives. And then I like the formation of the Dora Milaje. And they move together quite well. That's great. And he's like, I don't care. I'll fight you all. And I like the juxtaposition of these like old tribal weapons with the backdrop of some very modern weapons, it seems, behind them, right? I think that's great. He's like, and I'll do it shirtless too with this crazy hairstyle. There's Florence Kasumba again, looking amazing. She looks great. She's my favorite Dora Milaje so far. I don't know how everyone's going to fight with capes and cloaks. This is nuts. Okay. And there she goes. There she goes again. Go, Florence. Okay, here are some, less impressive Dora Milaje. But there is Lupita Nyong'o in her Dora Milaje outfit. And I believe these discs are actually, I wonder what's going on here. Those discs look very similar to the few Black Panther comics recently that I did read. So there's a couple, these two Dora Milaje become romantically involved with each other. I wonder if we were misled as to who Lupita Nyong'o was playing. We'll see, because I believe those two Dora Milaje are supposed to be in this movie. But anyway, I also wonder how those weapons work. And there's Shuri next to her with some very cool weapons of her own. She's like, I built these myself. That makes them even cooler. Letitia Wright looks cool as well. So here's Black Panther in South Korea. He's like, you guys deal with this. I'm going on a trip. I'm going to go to all the dark places in the world where it's really hard to see me. And then there is Winston Duke as M'Baku, aka Man-Ape. And you can see that reflected in his outfit, right? Like, thanks for making it easy to remember who you are. And there are some of his followers with him, his muscle. And it looks like he's going to take care of that guy, boy. Old school. We've seen that weapon before from a number of movies. Now that's great. You see that blast? I believe that's an EMP blast. T'Challa is able to do that in the current comics. But I don't know if it is totally an EMP blast, because how is he able to do such a strong... Like, look, he just knocks the I don't know cars very well. Whatever that is, the whole frame on the bottom, it just like completely rips apart and splits and goes out from under the car. So that Black Panther suit has some technological upgrades as well as whatever magical panther powers he has. So there he's like, see ya. I love that. You know, I have to say, just like a cat, Black Panther's attitude is just fabulous. Like he just, like some people flip in the air and they're like, I'm going to do some artistry. He's just like, yeah, this fight's over, and he's just like even relaxing. Like he's already like, I'm done, it's just so cool. And he lands on another car. That's so great. And he looks amazing. Some people have commented on his new mask. I'm not sure how I feel about it. I don't know why they would move it up so it looks like he has like a little tiny smiley face. I'm not a fan of that, but that's a nice bridge. Whoa, good job, location scout. And then the music that came up with this was very cool, right? And I like how Black Panther sparkles. It sparkles a little bit like his suit, in fact. That's very cool. So I really liked it a lot. I think it's a world-building trailer, and I think that Ryan Coogler has a lot of boxes to check, and a couple of them are respect and representation, and those are very, very hard to do. Again, very Wonder Woman-y in terms of the demands of what the film needs to do, and I believe how they're going to promote it. Like Kevin Feige, he's so smart. All right, write your thoughts down below, and you can check out some more videos right now.